You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of preparation. Hear that one again. You do not rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. This one really hit me hard because when the adrenaline's pumping, you think you're going to perform like a hero. And when you're gassed out, your arms feel like lead, and then you realise you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. And that's how I won that fight.
Welcome to the HMO Property Show. By investors, for investors. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a new landlord, or just curious about property investing, this is the podcast for you. Sponsored by the Co-Living Collective, your trusted partner in creating vibrant and sustainable shared living experiences. Visit us at colivingcollective.com.au to learn more.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I'm your host, Neil Gibb. And firstly, I just want to say thank you for my beautiful wife for stepping in and recording a couple of episodes for me, or for you guys, I should say, because this podcast is for you. The reason that she stepped in was, I wanted to get a different voice on here to see if there was any difference in the metrics that we track in terms of the amount of listeners that we get, etc. But also because I was training for a charity boxing fight, and if you've been following us on social media, you'll see that I won the fight. And the boxing fight was for a charity. It was called the RQCC, which stands for the Royal Queensberry Club Classic, and it's 11 fights on one night, and we all get together to raise money for a charity called Toy Box Australia. And the fight was run by the Barbagallo group, so Troy and Sophia Barbagallo. And again, if you're not sure who them guys are, maybe you live on the East Coast. These guys are kind of like a household name over here in the West. They own, or their family own, one of the biggest car dealerships and one of the most exclusive car dealerships. They sell Rolls-Royce, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Range Rovers, etc., etc. And Troy is also in the super yacht and luxury watch space too. So the crowd was very, very interesting crowd. And I'll tell you a little bit about the event, and then I'm going to tell you about the 7 things I learned through the boxing camp that I've been going on, because it was an 11-week camp. I'd never boxed before. I'd done boxing cardio, where we train at 11 rounds or 12 rounds, whatever they're called. And so I was comfortable hitting a punch bag, but I wasn't comfortable getting hit in the face, and I don't think anybody is. And like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face, right? And that was exactly how it was. We went to a similar charity boxing event. My good friend Calvin Coyles was fighting one night at the Corporate Rumble. And I just said to my wife, I'd like to do this one time. And then before I knew it, I'd submitted to fight at the RQCC. I'd signed up, and I didn't realise that there was so much training that needed to be done. So here are the 7 things that I have learned from 11 weeks of boxing training, and more importantly, how they relate to real estate investing. Because when I signed up for this charity boxing event, there was 11 weeks of hard training, early mornings, some late nights. The diet had to change. The sparring sessions left me got a couple of good punches right in the nose as well. So luckily my nose is still in one piece. That was just in the sparring sessions. And within week 3, I actually wanted to quit the boxing thing. It didn't fit into my normal regime. I was feeling very tired, very drained. Didn't want to turn up to the training. And there was many times when I was like, this relates to so many different things in life. More importantly, business and real estate in general. Because boxing isn't just about throwing punches. It's about patience. It's about discipline. It's about the mental strength that is required to turn up every day and keep getting punched in the face, or at least ducking and weaving out the way of the punches. And if you're not a boxing fan, please stick with me, because you will get some value out of this episode. I won't go too deep into the boxing side of things. I only did 11 weeks of training. I'm not Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson by any stretch of the imagination. But boxing really, it's about strategy, it's about defense, it's about risk management, and it's about staying calm under pressure. And when you think about it, that's exactly what successful property investing is. So I'm going to share 7 of the biggest lessons I learned during the boxing camp, and how each one connects to becoming a smarter, stronger real estate investor. So number 1 is discipline beats motivation. During the training camp, there were days, like I said, when I felt incredible, and there were days that I just didn't want to get out of bed. And I think weeks 1 to 3 were probably the toughest, because my arms were hurting, my traps were hurting, my triceps were hurting. I literally couldn't punch the bags anymore because my forearms and my arms were aching so much. And then I was getting out of bed the next day and I had to do it all again. I was waking up sore, tired, my body was aching. The last thing you want to do is get back out there and start throwing punches again. So what boxing taught me really fast is if you only train when you feel like it, you'll never be ready for fight night. And you don't rely on motivation, you rely on discipline. The discipline of going to bed early, the discipline of getting the right amount of sleep, the discipline of not drinking, the discipline of saying no to everybody else when they're doing things and you can't do them. Because discipline is what gets you in the gym, even when motivation is nowhere to be found. And I'm very disciplined when it comes to food and drink and working out and stuff like that, because I believe that if you win the morning, you win the day. So my big thing is I get up at 5 o'clock every morning before my wife and kids, and I'm either down there in the gym lifting weights or I'm out walking. And them two pieces of exercise really worked well for me. But the boxing threw all that out the window. Boxing, I had to get up. I couldn't listen to my podcasts. I couldn't listen to my audiobooks. The exercise or the training was high intensity, so that I was feeling tired throughout the day, even when I was trying to eat food. So I was trying to eat more food, which meant that I started to lose my six-pack because I had a set of abs before I started boxing. And believe it or not, at the end of the boxing, because I was always hungry, I ate more food. I actually lost my abs. I lost my six-pack. So now I'm on a mission to get them back before Christmas, which will probably make my wife very happy. In real estate, it's the same thing, right? There'll be times when you're fired up about property investing, right? Generally at the very start of your journey, or when you come out of a seminar or you come out of an event, you're pumped up, you're scrolling through listings, you're watching the market, you're running feasibilities. And then there's times when it's boring or it's tough or it's uncertain and you're procrastinating and you've got analysis paralysis when interest rates go up or when they don't go down. Let's say your builder delays on something, or maybe the council are pushing back on one of your development applications that you've got going in there. But very similar to boxing, the results come from showing up consistently, not when it's convenient, but when it counts. And discipline is reviewing your portfolio every 1, 2, 3, 6, 12 months, whatever it is that you do. And it's continue to save and invest. It's learning, even when you've already got a few wins under your belt, that motivation might just get you started, but discipline builds financial freedom. Discipline's what's got me into the position that I'm in now. And discipline's what's going to get me into the position I'm going to be in the next 10 years as well, because I'm not going to stop at all. Lesson number 2, this is a big one. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I am a big believer in coaches and mentors. You need the right coach. Now, when the RQCC first started up, part of the package, now I had to pay to fight in this thing. So I had to fill 2 tables, I had to pay for all the training, and then I had to raise money as well. I managed to raise $6,300, which was incredible. And as a group of fighters, we managed to raise $75,000, which was incredible. And on the night in the room, I think there was, $1.3 to $1.5 million raised as well. So, yeah, all up, over $1.5 million was raised for Toy Box Australia, which is incredible. Now, when the times got released of the training, this is when I nearly pulled out. I was like, it was 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And they're the times that I put my kids to bed. And again, if you've been following me, my wife and kids are my world. They come first in absolutely everything. And I've built my life around the fact that I get to spend time with them first and foremost, and everything else comes second. So, and again, instead of saying we see solutions, not problems, which is one of our company values, I said, well, instead of me pulling out, how can I make this work? And I reached out to some friends and I said, look, I need to get a boxing coach that can come to my house and train me in my garage. And very luckily, I was connected with a friend. I already knew this guy. We hung out quite a bit. I just didn't realise he was such a good boxer. My good man, Johnny P from JP Fitness. If you're looking for somebody to coach you in health and fitness, whether it's boxing or whether you just need someone to set your food out right and give you a training plan, reach out to Johnny P. He's a good lad and he actually makes it so much fun. We had such a good laugh, and there was days again when I didn't feel like joining in and I didn't feel like laughing, but this guy just brought the energy every single morning. And big respect to Johnny P. We practiced certain punches which won me the game as well, won me the fight. We realized that one of my punches, which was my left hook, wasn't that good. And he was like, look, we've tried it a few times. It doesn't look like it's improving. Let's look at some other punches. And we found some other punches which worked better for me, which landed better for me. And them 2 punches won the fight. And so instead of working on my weaknesses, we worked on my strengths. And that's, for me, what a good coach can do, right? Because I'm not the type of person that says work on your weaknesses. I say outsource your weaknesses and work on your strengths and make your strengths even stronger. And with boxing coaches, they can see things that you can't. So you might think your left jab sharp until your coach points out that your elbow's dropping or your footwork's off. And you just can't see it because, you're in the trenches, you're in the fight. So the coach has perspective. He's fought himself hundreds of times, well, maybe not hundreds of times, but he's fought himself a lot. He's probably coached lots of people, so he knows what works. He knows when to push me, he knew when to pull back, he knew when to make me laugh, he knew when I was down and he knew how to pick me up, and he knew how to help me peak at the right time. And he helped me train in a way so that we pushed hard, then we tapered off. And then the week before the fight, we had a couple of hard training sessions and some nice light sessions, and then we just spoke about strategy and what we were going to do in the fight. And in that fight, we knew that the guy, my opponent, was going to come out pretty strong. He's a little bit older than me, and he was a fitness coach. And we knew he was going to come out strong and try and land some big punches to try and control the fight. And that's exactly what he did. And then in the second round, he was a bit more tired than me. And then that's when I came out and I landed the punches that I landed. And in real estate, the same thing kind of applies. So if you're trying to do this alone, if you're trying to find deals, if you're trying to structure yourself and structure your finances the right way, if you're going direct to the bank, if you're trying to manage your own properties, you're going to miss things, you're going to drop things, you're not going to do things as good as what a professional would do. And you need a team around you who've already fought the fights that you're stepping into. This is your mortgage broker, your accountant, people like us that can help you find and build and make sure these things are in the right areas with the right demand, make sure your feasibilities are solid. And then you also need, obviously, your property manager, whether that's a HMO property manager or a normal property manager. And each one of these people is an area specialist. They're going to help you avoid mistakes and make better decisions, just like a good boxing coach. Now, I didn't win this fight on my own. I won it because I had Johnny P in my corner. I won it because we trained and practiced on my strengths and outsourced my weaknesses. And when I think about real estate, my weaknesses are not... I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. I'm none of these things. I've got the right people around me and I can pick up bits of what they say, but I get them guys to work on the things that I'm not good at and I'll work on the things that I'm good at. The same as the right coach will save you time, money and pain. At number 3, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of preparation. Hear that one again. You do not rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. And this one really hit me hard because when the adrenaline's pumping, you think you're going to perform like a hero. And when you're gassed out, your arms feel like lead and your opponent's still coming at you, and then you realise you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. And that's how I won that fight. I got in that boxing ring that night and the guy started coming at me with his big blows and I started coming at him with big blows. And then I just kind of stepped back a little bit and I let him hit me. And I had to get comfortable with getting hit, which I don't think you ever get comfortable with getting hit, to be honest. But this guy came at me and, his adrenaline was going, my adrenaline was going. There was over 1,000 people in this room. The room was absolutely phenomenal. The production of this event was absolutely phenomenal. You come out to music, there was big screens, there was fireworks going off. You walk down this big gangplank towards the ring. All your family and friends are there, all slapping your hands. And it's just... the atmosphere inside this room is absolutely electric. So you get in there and you're pumped and you just want to get it over and done with. You want to put on a good show. And I tried to put on that good show, but then I fell to the level of my preparation. I remembered what my coach said. He's going to come at you hard in the first round. We're going to gas him out. And then in the second round, we're going to step in and we're going to take over. And that's exactly what we did. So in real estate, when opportunity shows up, when a good deal, a good site, or the chance to refinance, it's too late to start learning. The investors who win are the ones who have prepared beforehand. This is why we always say to our clients, you need to get market ready. Because there's no point looking for a deal if you don't know what you can afford. Market ready involves talking to your mortgage broker. It involves talking to your accountant to get your trust structures set up. Now, I know Macquarie Bank have just pulled out the trust structure lending space. So what? There's hundreds of other lenders out there. Like, people get so hung up on the small things that are happening in there. There's a massive opportunity to play here, right? Macquarie pull out, so what? Years ago, SMSF lending got pulled from some of the mainstream lenders, and all the second and third tier lenders stepped up and stepped in, and they dominate that space. Same thing will happen if Macquarie pull out and a few others pull out. There'll be plenty of other lenders out there. There's more money in the economy now than there's ever been, and it all needs to be put into something to earn money. Banks make money when they lend it out. So this is why we talk about getting market ready, right? Preparation turns uncertainty into confidence. If you stay ready, you never have to get ready. And number 4, you are going to get hit. You can have the best plan, the best guard, the best coach, but you're still going to get hit. And it's like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face. I had a plan, I got hit in the face, I tried to come back to him, then I remembered the plan. And even during sparring, a couple of times I caught some clean shots to the face. We had headgear on, obviously we had mouth guards in. But them couple of jabs, when you first get them, they shock you. You see stars, you literally see stars. I used to think that was only on cartoons. But yeah, when you get hit, especially when you get hit clean, you see stars. It rattles your head, it knocks the wind out of you, and for a split second you think, what am I doing? Why am I actually doing this? And then something clicks. You kind of shake it off, you reset, and you keep moving forward. Because getting hit doesn't mean that you've lost. It just means that you're in the fight. And again, exactly the same thing happens in real estate. You might buy a property and face unexpected expenses. Maybe you've got boundary misalignment. If you haven't took the insurance out, maybe you buy your property and then a couple of weeks later the roof falls in. Maybe your tenants leave. Maybe the market dips, or maybe a deal that you really want falls over. You can't get it. You don't have the cash. The finance falls over. Whatever. That is part of the game. All part of the game. The key is how you respond. Do you panic? Do you sell? Or do you keep composure, adjust your stance, and keep going? And one of my bosses once said to me before, pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and start again. And I've kind of lived by that motto all my life, because things are going to go wrong. You're going to get hit. Pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and start again. Because every punch is feedback, whether that's in the boxing ring or whether that's in real estate. Every setback teaches you something. Resilience is what separates the investors who win long term from those who throw in the towel after one tough round. You know you are, guys. You might have done one Renault in around 2016-17 when the market went down, and now you sat there terrified because one deal went wrong. I've had deals go wrong. I've lost money on deals before. It's all par for the course. We're still here. Them lessons are just expensive lessons, the ones that go wrong. And number 5 is control the controllables and build a strong defence. Many, many years ago, I was at a mastermind over in Queensland, and they brought in a guy called Billy Moore. Billy Moore was a rugby player, and Billy was talking about controlling the controllables, and it's kind of stuck with me for a long, long time. And the reason I put this in here is because in boxing, one of the most powerful lessons is you can't control your opponent. You can't control how hard they hit or what punches they throw and how. But I can control my defence, my guard, my movement, my breathing, my preparation. And that's what protects you when things get wild. That's what got me through that first round, right? My defence, my guard, my movement, my breathing. It got me through that first round into the second round. And the second round I dominated. Things are going to go wrong, right? In real estate, you can't control things like interest rates, inflation, government policies, which seem to be getting released every couple of weeks at the minute just to spice the market up even more. But you can build your defence, and that's where things like asset protection come in. You don't want to set up a property portfolio that somebody else thinks they are more entitled to own than you. And what I mean by that is we live in one of the most litigated countries in the world. We've got what's called tall poppy syndrome as well, where people will try and chop you down and people will always try and take what you've got. So you need to protect your assets the way that I was trained to protect my chin during that fight. Keep the left hand up, keep the right hand up, protect that chin at all times. And to protect your properties, you need to be buying properties in the right structures. So trust structures with potentially corporate trustees, or even buying them in your self-managed super fund, but not really buying them in your own name. You need to make sure that you've got the right insurance. The amount of people I see that invest in HMOs but don't want to take the insurance policy out because it's too expensive, and then they take out a standard landlord policy, but it will never cover them in the event of a claim. It's kind of saying, oh, well, I've got insurance because I paid for it, but you might as well not have that insurance at all because it's not the right insurance. It's like me saying, Well, I had my hand so far up near my chin, but he still punched me in the face. It's like, yeah, well, it wasn't exactly as your coach taught me, right? So you need to also have things like buffers in place for cash flow in case you've got vacancies. Not so bad if you've got a HMO, but if you've got a standard property, you need buffers there as well. And you also need to make sure that you're not too leveraged. No matter how confident you feel the market is, please, please, please don't go too wild with your leverage. You know, if you're sitting 80%, you probably need to start. Well, for me, I would never sit over 90%. In fact, I don't even like being over 80%. So it's entirely up to you, but you know, if you want to protect yourself, do not over leverage, especially if you've got everything in your own name. The banks will just dig their claws in. Because in boxing and investing, the goal isn't just to hit hard, it's to stay standing. And a strong defense means that you can survive the rounds, keep compounding and win the fight over time. And that's exactly the same in real estate. Get your first house, compound, refinance, pull the equity out, go again, and before long, you'll win. Number 6, almost there, team. Told you it wouldn't be too bad for boxing. Confidence comes from consistency. Now, when I first started sparring 11 weeks ago, well, we didn't start sparring 11 weeks ago, we probably started sparring about 5 weeks ago. I stepped into that ring and the left hand kept coming down and I took a mighty smack in the face. Literally nearly broke my nose. Luckily, didn't have any big bloody nosebleeds or anything like that, but the tip of my nose was sore for days, almost a week afterwards. And after that, I was nervous going into every session until I learned to keep that guard up. And it's amazing how good a mistake like that, or a lesson that you learn like that, will help you. It's like the property development that I did years ago that I lost money on. I now know that is a thing that can go wrong. So I look for that in every deal that I go into now. I made this mistake before, I'm not going to let that happen again. I've just been punched in the face, I'm going to keep that left hand up. And over time, after showing up day after day, I noticed something that I started actually backing myself, and I actually started looking forward to going in that ring and sparring because my defence was getting better. And now when I go into deals, and you think about it in the early days, it's probably 80% psychology and 20% execution. But when you start getting more experience and getting more runs on the board, it's probably 80% execution and 20% psychology. And there's a big shift and it becomes natural, it becomes normal. The same as stepping in a boxing ring and having a fight with somebody. Now, when I stepped in the ring on Friday night, yes, the adrenaline was there, but I was confident. I had actually trained to a point where I just knew if we followed the plan that my coach set out, the fight was mine. And we went in there and he executed it to a T. And he sent me the videos of the parts of the fight. He made a reel on Instagram. If you go on my Instagram page, you'll probably see it. Not the HMO core one, the Neil Gibb HMO property core one. And there was 2 specific punches. There was a rear cross to the stomach, which I landed and it took the wind out of him. And then there was just a simple 1-2, which ended up knocking the guy out, and I got a technical knockout, and that's how I won the fight. Now, we had to practice and drill them things over and over and over and over again, right? To become confident with them punches, because when I first threw them, they were sloppy, I wasn't connecting right. We learned how to land them right, and then we learned how to get more and more power in them. That came from consistency. Practice, 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 practice. And then on the big night, all I had to do was just keep doing what I've been practicing. And it's very, very similar in real estate. Your first investment is like your first round in the ring. You might make mistakes. You're probably going to second guess yourself. But every single round, every single fight, every single deal in real estate builds confidence until you have that 80-20 switch from, 80% psychology to 80% execution. You just need to keep executing deals because you've got the psychology part. You'll start to see patterns. You'll start to understand feasibility is a lot better. You'll start to understand build prices, subdivision costs, end sale prices. You will trust the process that you have been taught by your coaches, by the people around you, by your A team. And that's how you grow from being a nervous first-time investor to someone builds a multi-property portfolio, multi-million-dollar property portfolio. Confidence is earned, it's not given, and it's built one rep, one deal, one decision at a time. And this is the last one, guys. Number 7, the fight is won before the bell rings, or it was on my fight anyway. I knew going into that fight I was going to win. I was just too confident. We trained religiously. We trained very, very hard. By the time fight night came, the work was already done. The training, the sparring, the dieting, the mindset, that's where the fight is won. And fight night just reveals whether you did the work or not. Pardon me. In real estate, same principle. The results that you see in your portfolio today come from what you did months or years ago. The saving, the planning, the strategy. It's like it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. I started investing 10 years ago, right? And it's the same like planting a tree. You don't plant some seeds in the ground one day and come back the next day and say, where's my tree? Like, it takes time. You need to sow the seeds. You need to water them. You need to read books, surround yourself with the right people, get the right mindset. This is when the tree starts to flourish and grow branches, but the roots are deep. This is the same in real estate, right? If you want to win financially 5 years from now, the work starts today. And ideally, it would have started 5 years ago because you've already got 5 years head start on the people that are starting today. So get yourself market ready, get your finances ready, get your team in place. Start studying deals. If you want access to the Cashflow Academy so you can start understanding how to do these things, let me know. It's still $399.95 and it's going up in December, because once the opportunity bell rings, it's too late to start preparing. You don't get lucky in real estate, you get ready. Now, the last 11 weeks have pushed me harder than I expected. I'm actually glad they're out the way. It was an absolute struggle and such an emotional roller coaster, and put a lot of strain on me and my family as well, because there was times when I wasn't there when they needed me, and there was times when I was tired when they needed me, and it just reminded me that how much growth happens outside of your comfort zone. And that's exactly what investing does. Like, when you step into the ring, whether it's against another boxer or it's against your financial future, you're going to find out what you're made of. And the truth is, you can watch from the sidelines all you want. You'll never feel the thrill of winning until you step in and take a few hits and keep swinging. And practice, practice, practice. Practice, but execute, because they say knowledge is power, but knowledge is only potential power. Execution of that knowledge is the real power. I could have just stayed in my garage practicing and practicing and practicing, but I took that practice into the ring and won that fight. So whether it's boxing or building wealth through property, just get in the ring, keep your guard up, stay disciplined, and remember, the fight is long, but the rewards are worth every single round. And I believe that my favourite quote, which I used to always finish this podcast on, is very, very, very relevant for the podcast today. It was actually my quote that I came out to, because they ask you what your favourite quote is, and it's, every master was once a disaster and every winner was once a beginner.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you can stay up to date with all cash flow positive property updates.